Chapter 221. The Chicken Scolds the Rabbit. We'll take the undead world as our base. If we can't beat them, we'll hide inside. Yao Lao's voice was calm but urgent. The moment he spoke, Dubuzi left at once. There was no time to waste. This was their only option. Gu Yuena's unease deepened. Yao Lao gave a soft sigh. Don't worry so much. Since we're dealing with another god, Xiaoling probably can't descend to the lower realm fully yet. We still have a chance. Gu Yuena could only nod. She was far from fully recovered. Even if she fought, she couldn't use her full strength. Senior, I am also a god. If it really comes down to life and death, I'll act, even if it risks plunging me into a deep slumber. Her words made it clear she was pinning all her hopes on Lin Xiao, on Xiaoling. Yao Lao smiled faintly. It won't come to that. It's not time yet. Even if it were, don't we still have another world to fall back on? Gu Yuena had no reply. If it came to that, she wouldn't hesitate to risk everything. The opportunity to act lay right in front of her, and she didn't want to let it slip. At the Sea God Pavilion, a god who had descended to the lower realm had just arrived. It was obvious at a glance that this god supported Shrek. "Boss Dai, why is my strength being suppressed?" asked Xiao Wu. There were only 6 of them present now, and only Xiao Wu would call Dai Mu Bai, Boss Dai. She had descended to the lower realm, secretly. Even Xiaoling didn't know. She had also brought Xiaoling's divine superweapon, the Asura God Sword. Dai Mu Bai and the others wore bitter expressions. "Xiao Wu, if our strength weren't being suppressed, how could we possibly lose to the body sect?" Dai Mu Bai said plainly. Since they were among their own, they spoke freely. "It's not only us, Fatty." He paused and sighed. "He doesn't have any cultivation left." Dai Mu Bai pointed at Ma Hongjun, who sat at the edge with a wine jar in hand, half drunk and brooding. He shot a venomous look at Xiao Wu, eyes full of anger and suppressed resentment. Xiao Wu's face tightened. "What? Boss Dai, you're not lying, are you?" she demanded. "Didn't Third Brother say he was injured back then?" she argued, fiercely loyal. "Even if your strength was suppressed, how could you have been driven off?" Her words were blind faith incarnate. The facts were laid out before her, but she refused to see. The disbelief and accusation in her voice trembled. Suddenly, a jar of wine smashed to the floor with a sharp crack. All eyes turned to Ma Hongjun. He was furious. Seeing Xiao Wu still defending Xiaoling set him off. The truth was plain. How could she still shield him? Xiaoling, we were all deceived by him," he roared. "Boss Dai, when are you finally going to tell the truth?" "It was Xiaoling. Xiaoling was the one who got beaten and ran. That guy wasn't even hurt." Ma Hongjun's voice was raw with contempt. He wanted to slap Xiao Wu. Years of suppression had left him hollow and desperate, but his hatred for Xiaoling had never waned. "Fatty, what nonsense are you talking about? How could Third Brother possibly lie to you?" Xiao Wu protested. "Third Brother was injured, so how could that other person not be? Third Brother is a god king, one of the strongest in the divine realm. In all of Douluo Continent, how could anyone possibly drive Third Brother away?" Third Brother. Xiao Wu's mind was filled with Xiaoling. She wouldn't allow anyone to slander him. Her insistence left Dai Mu Bai and the others silent. Ma Hongjun's words were true. She had been stubbornly blind. Sensing their silence, Xiao Wu looked around the group, searching for a crack in their story. Could it be? Were they right? Was Third Brother not what she believed him to be? Juju King sighed and told Xiao Wu everything she knew. The truth hit Xiao Wu like a punch. She stumbled and sank into a chair. Driven away at the Soul Master competition, their daughter's soul split, Muen killed. After hearing it all, Xiao Wu could scarcely accept it. All she wanted was one thing, to return to the divine realm and ask Xiaoling herself, how could a soul be split into 3? The very thought clawed at her sanity. She had once existed as only a soul. She knew that pain intimately. She needed answers from Xiaoling, and she needed them now. Ma Hongjun took advantage of Xiao Wu's hesitation to lash out. "Oh, how could my third brother lie to you?" he sneered. "Pa, what a load of crap. Do you have any idea? Xiaoling sent us down here just to die." Even Xiaoling himself couldn't beat that Lin Xiao. Do you think the rest of us could? If Xiaoling weren't a god king, do you think we'd have accepted his orders? If he hadn't threatened us, would we have descended to the lower realm and done those things? If it weren't for him, would I be in this state? If it weren't for him, wouldn't Xiangxiang and I have returned to the divine realm together? Xiaoling. Xiaoling. Damn Xiaoling. And you're just as guilty. You listen to Xiaoling about everything. Are you only his ornament? You didn't even know your own daughter's soul had been split into 3. All you ever know how to do is echo Xiaoling and be his scabbard. What a joke. You're just like that, Xiao Wu. He poured out every grievance he'd kept buried, the liquor giving him courage to speak the resentment he'd held for so long. His cultivation was gone, his spirit crushed. His hate for Xiaoling blazed uncontrolled. He had no grievances with Dai Mubai and the others, but he blamed Xiaoling and, by extension, Xiao Wu. Seeing Xiao Wu's blind defense made that anger erupt. Dai Mubai and the others didn't stop him. When Ma Hongjun finished, they tried to calm the situation. Xiao Wu, Fatty's drunk, someone said gently. He's just spouting nonsense. Don't take it to heart. We've been through so much. Don't be angry. Fatty's behavior is understandable. Oscar sneered inwardly. Understandable? They all knew it was deliberate, meant to break her. They were all dissatisfied with Xiaoling now, but in his absence, their frustration found a target in Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu sat there stunned, unable to argue. Juju King's words were the truth. There was no rebuttal. Still, how could third brother be like that? Didn't he say Xiao Qi had descended to the lower realm to come play on the Douluo Continent? How could her soul have been split into 3? I want to go back to the divine realm, Xiao Wu thought, frantic. I want to ask Xiaoling myself. When it concerned her daughter, she felt the edges of madness. Splitting a soul, what agony would that cause? She had experienced being only a soul. She knew the torment. She needed Xiaoling to tell her it wasn't true. Only then could she accept it. If Ma Hongjun and the others had been able to read her thoughts, they would have wanted to strangle her. Go ask Xiaoling? Ha! Does she think we aren't dying fast enough? If Xiaoling learned we knew his secrets, would he let us live? Dai Mubai and the others all knew how ruthless Xiaoling could be. If he found out they knew, there would be only one end. Death. This was Xiaoling. This was the Tang Buddha. Chapter 222, Battle Emperor, Battle Core. Xiao Wu was bewildered and frightened. Her face went blank as she stared around. Then she parted her lips, voice small. I want to go back to the divine realm. Ma Hongjun laughed, harsh and sharp. Ha ha ha! Go back to the divine realm. You really are an idiot, Xiao Wu. Now that you're down here, do you think you can still go back? If we could have gone back, do you think we'd still be here? If we could have gone back, who would come to this wretched place? We would have left long ago. Ma Hongjun swayed, his body trembling as he jabbed a finger at Xiao Wu with a furious look. Xiao Wu stood stunned. She couldn't go back, and her power was being suppressed. Still, she clung to one last hope. Is there really no way at all? This time, Ma Hongjun only snorted coldly. Dai Mubai sighed. There used to be a way, but the body sect destroyed it all. Now we really can't go back. Xiao Wu, you need to accept the reality. When Xiaoling sent us down, he never meant for us to return alive. Dai Mubai spoke bluntly. They had already offended the body sect. Xiaoling wouldn't spare them either. They were trapped. Other than seeking shelter with destruction and having the God King of Destruction oppose Xiaoling and help them deal with the body sect, they couldn't think of any alternative. They could use what they knew to bring Xiaoling down. The God King of Destruction and Xiaoling were already enemies, and that rift could be exploited. When will Xiaoling take office and come down? Dai Mubai asked, watching Xiao Wu closely. Why did you come down? Is he monitoring us? He and the others rose slowly and closed in around Xiao Wu, studying her. They didn't understand why she had descended. With Xiaoling's personality, it seemed impossible that he would let her go down willingly. Doubt crept in. Xiao Wu looked at them blankly, but understood the situation now. If third brother hadn't let it slip about what happened to you at the Clear Sky sect, I wouldn't have snuck down to the lower realm. Dai Mubai froze. Let it slip? Let what slip? Xiao Wu explained. Third brother told me by accident. I slipped down while he was sleeping. Dai Mubai's thoughts raced, not at Xiao Wu's innocence, but at Xiaoling's ruthlessness. Would he want them all dead here? Even Xiao Wu? It was hard to believe such a cautious man would let something slip by accident. It was possible Xiaoling meant for them to be trapped and eliminated, so he had no one to worry about back in the divine realm. In fact, that had been Xiaoling's plan. He knew he could not defeat Lin Xiao outright, but he could seal off the divine realm. Once he took office, he could use the God Realm central hub to close the realm. No one could enter, and Lin Xiao would be helpless. Everyone who knew about Xiaoling's schemes would be sent to the lower realm, posing no threat. That was the solution Xiaoling devised. But he had miscalculated. The Asura God Sword had been taken by Xiao Wu. She was the scabbard. Without that powerful weapon to suppress and dominate, Xiaoling lacked the necessary force, and that weakness set the stage for his later defeat by destruction. No one spoke for a while. Dai Mubai and the others sat down, heavy with thought. Xiao Wu, since you're here, first learn this place. The current Douluo Continent isn't what it was 10,000 years ago. When will Xiaoling take office and descend to the lower realm? Dai Mubai asked again, trying to sound casual. Xiao Wu answered uncertainly, tomorrow in the divine realm. But I don't know how much time has passed on the Douluo Continent. Indeed, one day in the divine realm could mean an unknown span on the Douluo Continent. They sighed. For now, they could only keep watch. Time crept by. There were no major confrontations between the factions, only small clashes and skirmishes. Meanwhile, inside the undead world, as spirit bones were consumed, Lin Xiao's internal energy swelled. His strength rose continuously. Boom! The air trembled as Lin Xiao suddenly opened his eyes. A terrifying aura poured off him, making it hard for everyone to breathe. Gradually, he restrained the aura, and those around him relaxed a little. Lin Xiao, what is your strength now? The Snow Empress asked, moved as she examined his tightly constrained power. Several people gathered around him. Lin Xiao felt incredible. His whole body was packed with energy. Now, I can't pin it down exactly, but I think I've reached Dohuang. Yao Lao, standing to the side, nodded. 6-star Dohuang. Not bad. Even as a Dohuang, without using the Buddha's Fury Fire Lotus, with the 3 soul cores in your body, you needn't fear a Dozong. Lin Xiao had reached Dohuang level of cultivation. He hadn't become a Dozong yet, but added to his cultivation was an extremely fearsome battle chi soul core he had just condensed. He called it the Du core. That core, plus 2 other soul cores, gave him combat power far beyond a normal Dohuang. The energy in his body was many times greater than usual. A 6-star Dohuang, plus 1 Do core and 2 soul cores, his strength was formidable. And he still had his strongest attack, the Buddha's Fury Fire Lotus. In short, Lin Xiao lacked nothing. Guyuana closed her eyes and sensed his power. Your cultivation is already at a godlike level. It's only that you don't have a god position. Lin Xiao paused. It felt right, like the demon empress from the Dragon King's legend, reaching the level of a god but without an official god position, only a true god by rank. He smiled wryly. Is a Dohuang already a god? Seems the Douluo god realm isn't so impressive after all. He snapped his fingers. The evil emperor emerged from his spirit ring. Everyone, long time no see. The evil emperor looked spectacular. Seeing him alive, everyone brightened. Ha ha! It's good you're alive. Dubusi laughed with delight. Teacher, what's happening outside? How are things on Shrek's side? They sat around the ice and fire yin-yang-yang well, and everyone filled Lin Xiao in on recent events. It had taken Lin Xiao a full year to complete his cultivation. Fortunately, during that year, Shrek's group had not made much movement. They'd been holed up, seemingly waiting for something. As they talked, Lin Xiao learned that Xiao Wu had indeed descended to the lower realm. He wondered whether Xiaoling knew. He asked Guyuana suddenly, do you think I can break the barrier between the divine realm and the Douluo Continent? Now that Lin Xiao had enough power to be considered godlike, in theory he could ascend to the divine realm. But given the current situation, if he wanted to enter the divine realm, he'd probably have to force his way in. Chapter 223. The Silver Dragon King recovers. Breaking the barrier between the divine realm and the Douluo Continent, that was Lin Xiao's plan for invading the divine realm. The divine realm now was not the same as it had been 10,000 years ago. Xiaoling dominated it and was scheming to become its ruler. Reasoning with her was impossible. With Xiaoling in control, the only option was force. Luckily, Shrek's side had shown no significant movement for the moment. Guyuana nodded, then shook her head. It's possible. You could ascend to the divine realm, but you might not necessarily gain a god position. As long as your strength reaches the required level, you can ascend. Lin Xiao fell silent. It made sense. 10,000 years ago, the demon empress hadn't ascended because the divine realm had collapsed, forcing her to remain on the Douluo Continent. Now Lin Xiao had the capability to ascend, but because of Xiaoling, he would not choose the divine realm as it currently stood. Guyuena continued, explaining how to break the barrier. If you want to tear the barrier between the divine realm and the Douluo Continent, you can ask the plane consciousness to help find a weak point. With your strength, you could break through it completely. Lin Xiao nodded. As long as it was possible, that was enough. Guyuena, I'm going to refine a pill for you first. Once you recover, it will be time to unify this continent. Teacher, thank you for all your efforts outside. Once I finish refining the pill, I'll go help you. She bowed respectfully to the group. For now, they were his only allies. Dubusi waved his hand dismissively. It's no big deal. By the way, Xiao Xiaozi, Brother Chen mentioned you've been letting that Ma Xiaotao from the Holy Spirit cult run free. I heard she just advanced to titled Douluo 2 months ago. Should we go capture her? Dubusi hadn't paid much attention at first, but seeing Lin Xiao stirred his memory. Ma Xiaotao had indeed advanced that fast. Without Huo Yuhao's interference, without Shrek's pursuit, and without the restraints of the Holy Spirit cult's top experts, her strength as an evil soul master had surged. Now that she was a titled Douluo, she was a ripe target. Lin Xiao still hadn't absorbed the divine fire from Ma Hongjun. All right, teacher, if possible, capture her. After letting her roam free for so long, it's time to harvest. But teacher, put your safety first. If it's dangerous, I can go later. Lin Xiao's concern was sincere. Ma Xiaotao was far stronger than Dubuzi. He didn't want Dubuzi risking himself. Dubuzi thumped his chest. Ha ha ha, don't worry. Against someone who just entered the titled rank, Dubuzi will not fail. He laughed and left. Lin Xiao turned to the task of refining Guyuena's pill. With his increased strength and far stronger mental energy, refining a grade 7 pill had become straightforward. Fire rose, and heaven and earth treasures hovered in the air. Yao Lao watched every move, worried the boy might slip, but he was surprised. Lin Xiao's technique this time was flawless, bordering on perfect. The others watched, impressed even if they didn't understand the finer points. In just 2 days, the grade 7 pill was complete. Its fragrance spread through the air. Rumble. Pill lightning appeared. Snow Empress and the others trembled. The lightning felt more powerful than when she had faced her own tribulation. Yao Lao frowned. Lin Xiao looked up solemnly. He didn't have the capacity to withstand the pill lightning, but he had committed to this pill. He condensed a 5-colored fire lotus and hurled it at the lightning. If he couldn't block it, he would destroy it. With a thunderous blast, the fire lotus detonated, tearing the pill lightning apart. The lightning swirling in the sky dissipated instantly. Fortunately, the power of the undead world was not yet strong enough to make that lightning impossible to break, a relief born of the world's current weakness. Teacher, I almost forgot about pill lightning. Fortunately, it wasn't as strong as I feared, Lin Xiao said. In the world of battle through the heavens, a grade 7 pill's pill lightning could be comparable to a dozong. You brat, don't be so reckless. It's my fault too. I assumed refining pills here wouldn't trigger pill lightning, Yao Lao scolded gently. In the future, refine pills outside. The plane consciousness can help dissipate the pill lightning. Lin Xiao scratched his head, unbothered, and handed the pill to Guyuena. Guyuena, take this quickly. It will restore you completely. Guyuena's icy expression softened. She had felt that lightning. It was godly in nature. She'd been worried for Lin Xiao, and seeing him handle it so calmly left her at a loss for how to express her gratitude. Holding the pill, she parted her lips. Lin Xiao, thank you. Lin Xiao waved it away. No need. Just make sure you give it your all when the time comes. Guyuena nodded repeatedly, sat cross-legged, and swallowed the pill. As she began to recover, Lin Xiao turned to Yao Lao. Teacher, is there a pill that restores the soul? The victim's soul is tiny and weak, Yao Lao said. You mean a pill to restore that kind of soul body? Yes, a restorative pill specifically for that soul. Yao Lao chuckled, not answering right away. Xiao Xiaozi, the soul body you mean is the one intended to be merged with the golden ancient tree, right? Tell me who it is, and I'll tell you how to refine the pill. Lin Xiao laughed inwardly. If Yao Lao wouldn't tell him straight away, he'd make him pay later. You're sure you won't tell me unless I name the person? Think you'll regret it? Yao Lao replied, testing him. Lin Xiao wasn't in a hurry. Han Shanshan still hadn't emerged from the bone-chilling flame, so there was time. He put on a playful look. Yao Lao regarded him. When Lin Xiao made that expression, it usually meant trouble, but Yao Lao's curiosity won out. Fine, I won't regret it. Tell me, and I'll keep quiet, Lin Xiao said lightly. Yao Lao gave a helpless smile and revealed the method and materials for the soul-restoring pill. Lin Xiao checked his inventory and found he already had the necessary heaven and earth treasures, including several immortal plants. He had plenty left over, especially the autumn abyss dew, which could substitute for the pill's ingredients. Time passed. On a day like any other, a dragon's roar suddenly echoed across the world as a giant silver dragon shot into the sky. It circled the heavens, its terrifying aura battering the world below. Chapter 224, Phoenix Divine Fire, the Sixth Flame. The silver giant dragon cut across the sky, its massive form blotting out the sun. It looked down at Lin Xiao and the others with a rumbling roar, and from within the dragon's soul awoke in answer to the Silver Dragon King. Senior, Lin Xiao, thank you. Gu Yuena transformed into human form and appeared before them, bowing sincerely. After so many years, she had finally recovered. Her wounds were completely healed. Medicinal pills were miraculous, and the senior's world had indeed been powerful. Seeing the restored Silver Dragon King, Lin Xiao felt genuinely pleased. Having another top-tier fighter on his side would make things a lot easier. Gu Yuena, what level is your current strength in Douluo? Old Yao asked. Gu Yuena answered proudly, God King. I've now reached the God King realm. But I've only just entered it. I was injured for too long, so though I've recovered, I'm not yet at my peak. I've just stepped into the God King realm. Old Yao nodded. Your strength would be about the equivalent of a 7-star dozong in my world. As for that Xiaoling, I don't know if he showed his full strength last time, but to me, he felt like a 9-star dozong. Xiaoling, holder of twin god positions, at the peak of the God King realm, one of the divine realm's top experts, was, in Old Yao's estimation, still only on par with a 9-star dozong. Compared to Lin Xiao, he was a full realm behind. Even so, he hadn't reached Dozun. From this, Gu Yuena realized she was still relatively weak by the senior standards. Her edge over Lin Xiao was only in realm. In an actual fight, she might not prevail. It seems the dragon god who established the divine realm was probably around the Dozun level, or maybe didn't even reach Dozun, Lin Xiao said casually. He did not mean to belittle the dragon god. It was simply how things were on Douluo Continent, and Lin Xiao believed he could surpass the dragon god. Gu Yuena had mentioned before that the soul force Old Yao displayed was even more powerful than the dragon gods. That suggested the dragon god, placed in the world of battle through the heavens, would be a regional overlord, far from the might of the Central Plains' top figures, but dominant in his own area. Gu Yuena did not argue. What Lin Xiao said was true. What I must do now is surpass the dragon god and revive the Soul Beast clan, she declared. Spirit beasts shouldn't just be products for humans to take spirit rings and spirit bones from. Gu Yuena's spirits were high. At last she felt she had the power to act. Lin Xiao nodded with a smile. Now's the time to strike at Douluo Continent. My undead world also needs a great opportunity for development, Old Yao added. An attack on Douluo Continent became inevitable. Everyone agreed. The people of Shrek had enjoyed too much for too long. It was time to remove them. Lin Xiao led everyone out of the undead world. He was ready. His strength had grown, and every soul spirit was itching for battle. As they emerged, they saw Dubuzi in the body sect, holding Ma Xiaotao. Oh, I was just about to look for you. Perfect timing. I've caught Ma Xiaotao and brought her back. Dubuzi gave the unconscious Ma Xiaotao a kick. Seeing her, Lin Xiao shrugged helplessly. Fine, Shrek could live a little longer. Teacher, Ice Empress, Linger, Xiao Xiao, Le Xuan, Gu Yuena, Di Tian. Lin Xiao called out the names of everyone present. Tomorrow our forces will strike directly at Shrek. Tonight I'll fuse and absorb her fire with Ma Hongjin's flame, and by tomorrow we'll take down Shrek. Everyone nodded in agreement. Picking up Ma Xiao, Lin Xiao headed for his attic. He didn't need to go into the undead world to absorb the flame anymore. The third-floor attic, Lin Xiao hadn't been there in a long time. Returning felt like revisiting an old refuge. Xiao, why are you being so sentimental? The Ice Empress chided, appearing on Lin Xiao's shoulder. Why aren't you staying inside the ring? Why did you come out? Lin Xiao realized he hadn't seen the Ice Empress in a while. Do you think I wanted to stay in the ring? She replied. I was cultivating, soul cultivation. Grandpa Yao taught it to me. Have you not noticed my soul has grown much stronger? She swung her legs proudly. Lin Xiao couldn't help the corner of his mouth twitching. I don't even want to talk about you. Xiaomo told me everything. You've been sleeping the whole time. Nonsense. Slander. Absolute slander. I was cultivating. The technique Grandpa Yao gave me involves sleeping. What can I do? That lackey. I won't talk to you anymore. I'm going to give him a beating first. With that, she vanished. Lin Xiao smiled faintly. No wonder he hadn't seen her. She'd been cultivating. He could already sense her soul force had grown considerably. His expression darkened as he looked at Ma Xiao. He raised his hand and forced the evil fire at the center of her brow to condense. A knot of dark flame flickered free. The moment it was drawn out, Ma Xiao's body shuddered and her strength plummeted. Lin Xiao ignored her and muttered, After leaving her unattended so long, the evil in this fire has only grown stronger. The killing intent and resentment inside are thick. One could only imagine the atrocities Ma Xiao had committed while feeding that malice. Lin Xiao took out Ma Hongjun's phoenix flame and began to merge the two fires. Ma Hongjun's phoenix divine fire had originally evolved from evil fire. Without the immortal plant, what had been a wild, malignant flame would still be only evil fire. The distinction between them was one of righteousness versus corruption. Merging the two was not difficult, and Lin Xiao completed the fusion with ease. The fused flame surged in intensity, but now it posed no danger to Lin Xiao. His strength had grown such that absorption was effortless. With the aid of the flame mantra, he absorbed the fused phoenix divine fire in a single night. Because he had taken in so many powerful flames already, the flame mantra did not evolve further after this absorption, but Lin Xiao didn't care. His strength had increased, and that was what mattered. The next day, the body sect's main hall was filled with everyone from the sect. Lin Xiao entered carrying Ma Xiao. Everyone, it's time. Let's move out, he announced. Doupo sat in the main seat. Seeing Lin Xiao, he rose with a smile. We were just waiting for you. Xiao, I plan to advance in 3 directions. What do you think? 3 directions? Lin Xiao's interest was piqued. Teacher, tell me plainly. He wanted to know how Doupo had arranged things. For Lin Xiao, the important part was the fighting. Everything else would follow. Chapter 225. They're just limit Doulos. Everything's ready. We can strike at any time. Lin Xiao didn't yet know about the 3-pronged plan Doupo had in mind. The first route, the Holy Spirit cult. Doupo began. I'll send Le Xuan, Xiao, Xiangjun, and the golden-bodied Douluo Peng. The Holy Spirit cult has only a few stragglers left. There's no reason for that organization to exist anymore. It's time for a purge. Brother Chen explicitly said the Holy Spirit cult shouldn't be allowed to continue. Once it's done, it'll be the perfect chance for Xiao to get her 9th spirit ring. The second route, the Sun Moon Empire. Elder Kong and Jing Hongqian shouldn't show their faces, so I'll send BG and Liya, backed by the Snow Empress, Ditian, and Ziji. They'll take spirit tools and part of the Heavenly Soul Empire's army. If Shu Tianran refuses to surrender, kill him. If he surrenders, spare him. Do it for Elder Kong and Jing Hongqian. He's a pitiable man. The third route, Shrek. Doupo's tone hardened. Shrek is the primary target of this campaign. The dueling empire is already part of our territory, and its military strength has rebounded. It's stable now, so we can deploy troops. Shrek is currently allied with the Star Luo Empire, and the factions within are twisted and intertwined. I'll have Aoqian and Xiao Hongqian lead the attack on the Star Luo Empire, with Elder Kong, Jing Hongqian, and the myriad Demon King supervising. We'll have plenty of spirit tools ready to deploy. As for Shrek itself, several of us will go there in person. With this campaign, we can unify the continent. They won't even have a chance to breathe. Victory is certain. Lin Xiao nodded. Dubuzi had planned everything well. Teacher, proceed as you said. I have no objections. The main force would concentrate on Shrek. The other locations would be handled by titled Douluos or even limit Douluos, and with the massive supply of spirit tools at their disposal, they were effectively unbeatable. A bombardment alone could annihilate most defenses. If they somehow still lost, he might as well call them pigs. Victory is certain, someone shouted. Then others echoed it until the hall rang with shouts. The evil emperor floated out of Lin Xiao's spirit ring. Xiangjun, when you go to exterminate the holy spirit cult, drop by the evil spirit forest. Find my son and have him mobilize the spirit beasts there to help. If he's rebellious, give him a beating. Xiangjun laughed. No problem. Lin Xiao added, Xiao, Le Xuan, before you head out, go to the back mountain and consult the plane consciousness. Have it point out the scattered members of the Holy Spirit cult. If need be, take the plane consciousness with you. With coordinates, you can strike directly. No need to hunt them down one by one. I'll keep an eye on Shrek, so nothing will happen to it. Zhang Lishuan and Xiao both nodded. Dubuzi rose. Since no one has objections, Army, move out! Wait, teacher. I want to go to Shrek. My junior brother promised I could test the strength of Shrek's titled Douluos, Long Aochin said, standing to oppose the order. Everyone smiled. Kong Deming gave a casual nod. Go ahead. It'll be fine with us here. With permission granted, Long Aotian laughed. The leaders exchanged glances and left the hall, leaving only Lin Xiao, Dubuzi, Linger, Gu Yuena, and Long Aotian behind. Teacher, is the sect's defense secure? Lin Xiao asked. Dubuzi nodded. Don't worry, spirit tools are in place. Nothing will happen. Relieved, Lin Xiao gave the final order. Let's go. Deploy the troops to Shrek. 3 massive armies set out from the Heavenly Soul Empire, each spearheading toward one of the targets. Lin Xiao and the others took one of 3 flying ships. With the forces split, they only required 3. It was more than enough for Shrek. They announced their approach loudly. No stealth. Horns blared continually as the fleet tore across the sky toward Shrek. When the flying ships finally arrived at Shrek's doorstep, panic rippled across the citadel. Everyone of importance had gathered at the Sea God Pavilion. The body sect's non-stop horns had already forced them to cluster together. They hadn't yet reached any conclusion when the arrival of the Heavenly Soul Empire forces made matters worse. Faces fell. Were they really going to die here? Dai Mubai felt a burning bitterness. Where was Xiao Ling? He should have taken office by now. Why hadn't he descended to the lower realm? He felt abandoned. They all had been abandoned. He realized it, but refused to admit it. While he stood stunned, Lin Xiao's voice rang from outside. Blondie, come out and meet your death. Rabbit, don't you want to see your daughter? Hearing the word daughter, Xiao Wu could no longer contain herself. She ignored Dai Mubai and the others and shot out to face them. Dai Mubai and the rest had no choice but to follow. Powerful figures from Shrek hovered in the air to confront Lin Xiao and his group. Lin Xiao began to call them out, each name a tolling bell. 5 gods, the high priest of Sea God Island and the 7 guardians, plus Xiao Bai, the elders of Shrek, and the sect master of the Heavenly Dragon Gate. He counted them off. It seemed everyone of consequence had assembled. His roll call landed on them like a death knell. Panic spread. Xiao Wu forced herself to remain calm and drew the Asura God sword. You are Lin Xiao. Hand over my daughter. The Silver Dragon King's face went white when she saw the sword. She would never forget it. The same blade had once split the dragon god in 2. The Asura God sword, you damned rabbit. I should have let you die by the lake in the Stardew Great Forest back then. Guyuana's glare cut toward Xiao Wu. Her aura surged like storm tides. Xiao Wu went pale and stammered. You're a god? Guyuana smirked coldly. No, we're both gods. So why hasn't your strength been suppressed to the level of a limit Douluo? The Silver Dragon King's divine might rolled outward and swept over Xiao Wu and the others. Something chilled them. Their own powers were being restrained, reduced to the level of a limit Douluo. Why wasn't Guyuana herself suppressed? That was the only explanation. The plane consciousness had given Guyuana special treatment. As a god king, it simply couldn't suppress her. Humph, a traitor to the Soul Beast clan. You deserve to die, the Silver Dragon King spat. Vile rabbit, give me your life. A silver spear materialized in her hand, and she lunged at Xiao Wu without another word. Xiao Wu had the Asura God Sword, but she was only at limit Douluo level under the suppression, and the Silver Dragon King's God King power was overwhelming. The difference was immediate and absolute. Xiao Wu stood no chance. Xiao Wu's desperate words had reached every ear behind her. A god. The enemy has a god. More important, she had revealed a crucial piece of information. Their strength was being suppressed to the level of a limit Douluo. The realization hit them like a wave. Everything fell into place. No wonder ancestors like Dai Mubai and the others had seemed unable to defeat Lin Xiao before. No wonder they had appeared to hold back. They hadn't been holding back out of kindness or weakness. They simply weren't as powerful as they'd seemed. They were only limit Douluos. Regret flooded them. Why had they chosen to side with Shrek? If only they had known. If only they had known the truth. Chapter 226. Explode, Juzu Qing and Ning Rongrong. Their regret had nothing to do with Lin Xiao's group. It didn't affect Lin Xiao at all. At most, it gave him a good show. The fight between Xiao Wu and Gu Yuana went exactly as expected. Gu Yuana was winning. She toyed with Xiao Wu, suppressing her with the Asura God Sword. Even wielding a divine tool, Xiao Wu couldn't match Gu Yuana, who was already a god king. Lin Xiao's group watched Dai Mubai and the others with amused expressions. Long Aoqian, standing beside Dubuzi, stepped forward and scanned the crowd with a provocation clearly on display. Neither Lin Xiao nor Dubuzi stopped him. "I am Long Aoqian," he announced. Level 93 titled Douluo, Spirit, Panel. "Xianliner, I won't bully you. Your cultivation is higher than mine. D. Tian killed Qian Duoduo. D. Tian is a dragon, and I have dragon in my name. I'll let both husband and wife die beneath a dragon. Come out and meet your death, Xianliner." Long Aoqian's aura as a titled Douluo flared. As Lin Xiao's senior brother, he hadn't experienced the original story's events, but his talent was decent and the body sex resources had been generous. Becoming a titled Douluo was inevitable. Now, long past that point, he had reached it. Level 93 Strength, Golden Level Martial Soul Awakening, 100,000-year Spirit Rings and Spirit Bones, his body sect combat techniques had long since reached a high level. Against him, Xianliner had no realistic chance. Xianliner steamed. When had a mere level 93 titled Douluo, a junior, dared to be so insolent? A long spear materialized in her hand. "Humph, do you really think I've been a titled Douluo all these years just for show?" she snarled. "You brat! Die!" If anyone else had taunted Xianliner, she'd have swallowed her pride. Most present were limit Douluos and beyond her reach. But Long Aoqian? A young man just into the titled level. She wouldn't be humiliated by him. Long Aoqian had been clever. By announcing his strength immediately, he forced Shrek to accept the confrontation. "Junior brother, watch me twist this old woman's head off to use as your chamber pot," Long Aoqian crowed theatrically. "As fellow disciples of our master, I, as the eldest senior brother, am not weak," he charged at Xianliner. Lin Xiao nodded slightly. He knew his own presence had put extra pressure on Long Aoqian. Now that Long Aoqian had become a titled Douluo, he naturally wanted to show off in front of Lin Xiao. Long Aoqian understood his talent didn't match his junior brother's, but he wasn't jealous. He was showing strength for the sect. Sharing a common enemy and keeping up brotherly respect was what mattered. Long Aoqian would not resent Lin Xiao. He would help him. Meanwhile, Gu Yuana's spear had pierced Xiao Wu's leg, and she crumpled to the ground in pain. Gu Yuana advanced and drove 4 quick strikes. 3 severed whatever tendons and ligaments remained intact. Another pierced her dantian, crippling her. Finally, seizing the Asura God Sword, she speared Xiao Wu's thigh and dragged her across the ground. Blood stained the floor and left a long trail. Lin Xiao didn't care how Gu Yuana treated Xiao Wu. This was an internal matter of the Soul Beast clan, and he wouldn't interfere. The battle had begun. Lin Xiao wanted it over so he could return and prepare the victory feast for the other 2 groups. He turned to Dubuzi. Dubuzi understood and gestured toward the flying ship behind them. The ship backed away quickly, keeping a safe distance. Dai Mubai's group frowned. What was Lin Xiao planning now? No matter what their opponent does, be ready to defend at all times. Dai Mubai sent out via voice transmission. They had to be on guard and could only adopt a defensive posture and wait to see what Lin Xiao would do. Lin Xiao smiled inwardly. Was he really that terrifying? Blondie, have you ever seen an explosion? He asked softly. Daimu Bai and the others didn't answer, watching him coldly. Lin Xiao grinned, then mimed an explosion with his hands. Boom! At the gesture, Daimu Bai and the others stiffened, caught off guard. Lin Xiao laughed, enjoying the moment of teasing. Then he snapped his fingers. Bong! Two sudden explosions rocked Daimu Bai's group. Bloom, Juju King, Ning Rong Rong. Lin Xiao's voice rang out, clear and cold. Juju King and Ning Rong Rong both had been implanted with devices earlier, exploded on the snap. Flesh and blood flew, splattering nearby people. At the same time, the flying ship behind Lin Xiao sprang into action. 4 level 9 fixed soul guidance cannons fired toward Shrek's 4 most important positions. Daimu Bai's group, still reeling from the initial blast, heard 4 more huge detonations before they could recover. Lin Xiao, I want you dead! I want you dead! Oscar howled, a gut-wrenching roar that snapped the stunned crowd awake. Lin Xiao sighed. He hadn't managed to kill them all, unfortunate but predictable. He couldn't trigger the deep energy inside Juju Qing and Ning Rong Rong. He could only make them explode. And these explosions were ordinary, not the self-detonation of a limit Douluo. Damage was limited, but the humiliation was total. They weren't dead, but they were mortally embarrassed. That still counted as a win. What a pity, Lin Xiao muttered. I thought those 2 old women could blow you all to death. Didn't expect they'd just drop a giant load for me. He'd still have to clean up the mess himself. Disappointing. Oscar's roar had no real effect. He was a limit Douluo and, at best, a food system oddity. But in the next moment, he pulled out a sausage and swallowed it whole, a mirror image sausage. Though he lacked combat strength, some of his spirit abilities could activate through it. The sausage let Oscar possess another's body. Flashing into action, Oscar used it to seize control of Daimu Bai's body. A long spear appeared in Linger's hand. Let me take him down, she cried. Be careful, Lin Xiao sent. Remember, they might still have Linger's strike prepared. Be cautious in the fight, and be ready to retreat at a moment's notice. The ones most likely to wield Linger's inherited strike were Daimu Bai and Oscar. They'd fought before, but back then they hadn't shown much. The version of them that had won against Linger's group at the Clear Sky sect must have had something different. One of them had obtained an extra strike while at the Clear Sky sect. At that time, only Daimu Bai and Oscar had been present, so Lin Xiao suspected it was the 2 of them working in tandem. With Daimu Bai's spirit occupying him and supplemented by that ridiculous-sounding erector set pink sausage, Oscar was still housed in a god-tier body. He could channel a full 100% of Daimu Bai's limit Douluo strength. Even so, it was nothing compared to Linger now. She had switched her cultivation to battle chi. Although still limit Douluo level, the combat power she could release had already exceeded that limit. Lin Xiao's reminder had brought Linger back to herself. She'd nearly forgotten to stay vigilant, assuming once Lin Xiao arrived, everything would be fine. Don't worry, she said, nodding. Lin Xiao didn't need to say more. His warning was enough. Gu Yuena, who had tossed the half-dead Xiao Wu onto one of the flying ships, strode toward Linger. Linger, I'll take this one, she said, pressing down Linger's raised hand with a grin full of fighting spirit. After being sidelined for so long, she needed the chance to stretch herself. Now there was finally a fight she didn't intend to miss. Linger hesitated, then relented and sent a voice transmission. Sister Nair, be careful. Xiao Xiaozi says this guy might use Xiao Ling's full power strike. That caught Gu Yuena's interest. Xiao Ling's full power strike? Ha, then she'd give it a try. She pulled back and faced Oscar head-on. Without Ning Rong Rong, Oscar had nothing left to live for. With her dead, he was already prepared to die. If he could take revenge first, so much the better. His attacks became violent, desperate, tragic. Even so, against God King Gu Yuena, he could only fight with difficulty and pain. Gu toying with him was like an old man playing with a child. Lin Xiao called to Dubuzi, voice sharp, Teacher, level 8 fixed spirit shells. Use everything you've got. A full 360-degree bombardment, no blind spots. Shrek had already been battered to near ruin by 4 level 9 fixed soul guidance cannons, but Lin Xiao intended to show no mercy. If Shrek had to be erased, so be it. Kai Meier howled in fury. Lin Xiao, how dare you? His intent was total annihilation. No survivors, no descendants. Lin Xiao only sneered. Let him watch. Dubuzi's hand moved, and the three soul guidance flying ships opened fire. Loaded with level 8 fixed shells, they began a wailing, 360-degree barrage, pouring explosives over every inch of Shrek's domain. No one in Kai Mayer's ranks dared try to intercept. A single level 8 shell was the equal of a titled Douluo, but dozens at once were overwhelming. The body sect had no shortage of them. Kong Deming had brought loads. They'd also seized some from Shrek, and their two spirit tool masters could manufacture more. Lin Xiao had ordered mass production, so the stockpile was overflowing. If they didn't use the shells now, what was the point? While the bombardment hammered the ruins, Lin Xiao planted himself between Daimubai's group and the chaos, aura flaring beyond limit Douluo. If any of you move, I'll kill you, he warned, voice cold and domineering. Given his power, he could back it up. Daimubai and the others froze. Lin Xiao took a small, satisfied breath. His hold had two purposes: stop them from causing more collateral damage, and buy himself time to board the ships and get his people out. After one round of shelling, Lin Xiao called it off. Teacher, stop, he ordered, then transmitted to Dubizi. Open the gates to the undead world under each flying ship. If anything goes wrong, we all escape inside. Lin Xiao could have left these people to their fate, but they were his. He wouldn't be the kind of leader who let his own people die uselessly. Dubuzi gave a curt nod and moved to open the doors. Daimubai's group stared, bewildered. Just then Oscar's voice, raw and ragged, rang out. You forced me. I want you to die. I want you all to die here. An impossible surge of energy erupted from him, the kind that didn't belong in the Douluo world. Lin Xiao's brow tightened. Of course, Xiaoling's attack had been set inside Oscar. He even began to suspect Daimubai might have a similar hidden strike. Oscar's release was Xiaoling's full-power blow. Guyuena's face went white as the energy bloomed. This is beyond me, she thought. Xiaoling is stronger than I am. She didn't stand to take that head-on. Opening the undead world gate beneath her, she slipped inside and shut it behind her. Only then did she exhale. No longer the reckless silver dragon king of old, she knew when to run. Survival first. Oscar's outrage turned to bafflement as his target vanished. Where did she go? He pivoted and aimed at Lin Xiao instead. Since you won't run, I'll start with you. The strike homed in. Linger, seeing the attack, moved to drag Lin Xiao away, but before she could, Lin Xiao seized her, and a flash of black swallowed them both. The attack lost its target and detonated uselessly less than 3 meters from the ruined remnants of Shrek, causing another violent explosion. The shattered remains of Shrek suffered further devastation. Enraged beyond reason, Oscar saw the 3 flying ships that still hovered nearby and charged at them. His final trump card was gone, but if he was to die, he wouldn't go quietly. People can run, he snarled, but I don't believe you can get away. He tore into the middle of the 3 ships. Dubuzi made no attempt to stop him. Daimubai roared, desperate. Oscar, what are you doing? Come back! Do you want to die? I still have you. Oscar only laughed, hollow and cold. Boss Dai, Rongrong is dead. I don't care about life anymore. I hope you run from Xiaoling. Then, with a final, fatal resolve, he detonated, self-destructing his cultivation and soul. He poured everything into that explosion. Ningrongrong's death had broken him too deeply to hold on. Oscar flew at the 3 airborne ships with a tragic, heroic flourish. As his shout rang out, his life force erupted across the sky. He detonated every last bit of his soul power, his divine body, everything, self-destructing in a blinding blast. A mushroom cloud towered between the 3 ships. For an instant, time seemed to freeze. Boom! The concussion ripped through everyone's ears. After the cloud drifted away, the world fell strangely silent. Little ow! Daimubai stared into the empty sky, stunned at the sudden quiet. Regret tore at him. Why had they come down to this realm at all? Why hadn't he fought harder to stop this? Oscar had blown himself up. Ning Rongrong and Juju King had been obliterated. Ma Hongjun was crippled and useless. Xiao Wu had been captured and was likely doomed. Of the Shrek 7 devils, only a few remained. Daimubai's face went hollow with grief. Tsk, what touching brotherhood, so pitiful. Lin Xiao's sardonic voice cut through the grief like a knife. Whoosh, whoosh, the 3 flying ships reappeared before Daimubai and the others, completely intact. Your little self-detonation was laughable. Dubuzi said from the bow of a ship, flipping them the middle finger. At the moment Oscar blew himself apart, Dubuzi had drawn the ships into the undead world. Oscar had only blown up the air. The ships were unharmed. Lin Xiao and the others had simply missed the fireworks. Seeing the ships unharmed, Dai Mubai spat blood. You! He could barely form words, pointing at them in disbelief. Don't worry, Lin Xiao said coldly. You'll be joining Oscar very soon. 6 kinds of flames swirled around Lin Xiao as he spoke. He had no intention of toying with them any longer. Better to finish it quickly. Junior brother, I took Xianliner's head for you. Long Aoshan materialized at his side, holding a severed head. Lin Xiao smiled. Not bad, senior brother. Long Aoshan's talent showed. He chuckled. I'll leave the rest to you, junior brother. I'm going to check on Vina and the others. He tossed Xianliner's head toward Dai Mubai and the rest and left without another look. Kai Mayer caught the head. Her whole body trembled and she could not speak, fear washing over her. Shrek now had only Dai Mubai and the High Priestess of Sea God Island as true limit Douluos. Everyone else was far weaker. Linger and Guyuena exchanged a glance and moved in. The massacre began. Lin Xiao's flames kept turning as Guyuena and Linger took direct action. For these titled Douluos, death was the only future. As a god-king-level powerhouse, Guyuena's divine might pinned them immobile. Linger strode through them with her spear, each strike ending a life. The golden dragon spear and the silver dragon spear became 2 enormous dragons that tore through the enemy. Guyuena's strength was overwhelming. Against these lesser-titled Douluos, the slaughter was one-sided. Lin Xiao, you'll all die horrible deaths. Horrible deaths, one shouted, voice cracking. I won't let you off. Even as a ghost, I'll curse you in death, another rasped. Dai Mubai could only watch in frozen helplessness as Linger methodically cut them down. Blood-curdling screams filled the air. His expression grew more haggard by the moment. Linger decapitated the Shrek elders. Sea God Island's titled Douluos were pierced through the heart. To be thorough, Linger drove her spear through both left and right sides. Only Dai Mubai and the High Priestess remained alive. 4 severed heads hung from Linger's spear, on top of the already dead Xianliner, Qian Duoduo, Muen, Xuanzi, and Xiaojie. Those 4 heads were the remaining Sea God Pavilion elders. The corpses of the 7 sacred pillar guardians of Sea God Island lay lifeless on the ground. Once the other faction leaders here were dealt with, the hunt would begin for any remaining masters. Kill them. Leave only Dai Mubai's soul, Lin Xiao ordered, his voice flat and merciless. At his command, Guyuena's silver dragon spear plunged into Dai Mubai with a sickening sound. Under a tremor of terrible divine power, Dai Mubai's body exploded. Lin Xiao reached out and gathered his soul. Linger stood before the High Priestess. I'll leave you an intact corpse, she said, but she had no compassion. With a single thrust, the golden dragon spear unleashed devastating power and ended the High Priestess's life instantly, painlessly. The High Priestess's only crime had been faith in Xiaoling, enough reason for Linger to kill her. By now, almost everyone was dead. Lin Xiao scanned the ruins of Shrek without a word, focusing on fusing his flames. 1, 2, 6. 6 flames merged in his hand into a 6-colored fire lotus. He looked at Guyuena and the others. Go, I'll finish this place. Guyuena glanced at the fire lotus and swallowed. Linger, go, let's leave quickly. Dubuzi ordered the flying ships to retreat. Lin Xiao's flames left them all chilled to the bone. Today, Shrek would be wiped out. When the others had gone, Lin Xiao hurled the fire lotus down. Boom! A 1,000-mile radius around Shrek was engulfed. As the fire lotus dissolved, relentless flames consumed everything. The earth turned red for 1,000 miles, and all life within that span was erased. If you don't pull up the weeds by the roots, they'll grow back with the spring breeze. Lin Xiao would give Shrek no chance at all. Satisfied, Lin Xiao left. Even after he departed, flames still flickered across Shrek's land, refusing to die for a long time. This attack made it impossible for anything to survive there for decades. Everyone who had remained at Shrek was dead. As for those who had escaped, Lin Xiao planned to hunt them down later. He would leave no one alive. Elsewhere, under the command of Kong Deming and Jing Hongchen, the Star Luo Empire fell completely. The Star Luo imperial family was annihilated. 9 generations were executed. All those led by Dai Hao and Dai Yueheng were dead. Anyone with the imperial bloodline was spared no mercy. With that done, Kong Deming and his forces installed the Heavenly Soul Empire as the new ruler of the Star Luo territories. In the Sun Moon Empire, the approaching army left Emperor Shu Tianran and Empress Juzi with the desire to resist. That resolve evaporated once they learned Jing Hongchen and others had defected to the body sect. The most powerful spirit tools had already been seized. How could they mount resistance? It was over. Shu Tianran and Juzi sat in the palace hall, their faces a picture of desolation. Chapter 229, Cleansing the Entire Continent. Juzi, in the next life, I hope you never get to know me. Shu Tianran looked at Juzi sitting beside him. That same loneliness surfaced in his eyes again. In the end, they had failed. It wasn't that he felt defeated by the body sect. He felt betrayed by his own people. It had ended before it even became a proper fight. Even the most important resources for war had been handed to the enemy by those he trusted. But Shu Tianran did not blame them. Human nature was what it was. When life, death, and future were at stake, people chose survival. He wasn't surprised, only unable to understand how utterly decisive they had been, offering no resistance at all. Your Majesty, I have news. The Star Luo Empire has been destroyed. Not a single member of the imperial family survived. Dai Hao is dead. The Dai family has been exterminated. Our enemies are all gone. My great vengeance has been fulfilled. I did not do it myself, but I am satisfied. I, Juzi, am content with this life. Juzi's voice carried the same resolve. Her vengeance was complete. She had no regrets left in this world. Shu Tianran inhaled deeply and met her gaze. They shared a sad, gentle smile. In this life, I couldn't make you my true empress. If there is a next life, I hope you are born into a good family. When people stand at the edge of death, their words grow kind. Juzi smiled, produced 2 pills from her bosom, and without the slightest hesitation, Shu Tianran took one and swallowed. Juzi swallowed the other. They held hands and looked at each other. Blood welled at the corners of their mouths. They closed their eyes and accepted the final quiet of the palace. Shu Tianran and Juzi ended their reign as emperor and empress with dignity. He would not surrender. This had been his choice to the end. After their deaths, the Sun Moon Empire declared its surrender to the body sect. The empire had no deep hatred of the body sect, and Lin Xiao had no desire to slaughter an entire nation. The Sun Moon Empire was vast, populous, and technologically advanced. It was worth keeping for its benefits. Kong Deming and the others sighed when they learned of Shu Tianran's suicide. As an emperor, Shu Tianran had been nobler than most, and choosing death was his last act of imperial pride. Lin Xiao and the others did not make things harder for the survivors. Inside the body sect, everyone had returned except for the first team. The Snow Empress reported, "The Sun Moon Empire has decided to surrender. Di Tian and I have already sent people to incorporate them," she went on, "and the Heavenly Soul Empire is assisting." Jing Hongchen added, "In the Star Luo Empire, the imperial family was wiped out. The rest have surrendered and are being absorbed as well." Lin Xiao listened. Everything had progressed as expected, and there were few surprises. "Have Xiao Xiao and Le Xuan returned?" he asked, noticing their absence. Everyone shook their heads. The Holy Spirit cult disciples they had been hunting were dispersed widely, making the operation take longer. Lin Xiao nodded and remained calm. "If they haven't returned yet, we'll wait a little longer," he said. "In the meantime, I need you all to do something else." All eyes turned to him, curious. Lin Xiao continued, "Purge the entire continent." He left no room for misunderstanding. "Although I have already turned Shrek into ruins, some escaped. Among the fugitives are many high-ranking Shrek officials. Find them and leave none alive. As for the lower-ranking survivors, ignore them. Our target is the high-level Shrek officials and those high-ranking members of allied forces." Lin Xiao had originally wanted to wipe out more, but Yao Lao's voice in his mind warned him not to cause needless slaughter. Given Lin Xiao's nature, it would have been no surprise if he wanted to exterminate 9 generations, but restraint was advised. The others nodded. Most were long-lived and hardened. Whether to kill more or less mattered little to them. After dispatching his teams, Lin Xiao went to the back mountain of the body sect alone. The plain consciousness was there. He had come with a single clear purpose. Upon seeing it, he did not waste time. "Plain consciousness," Lin Xiao said. I want to take the Douluo Continent into my undead world. The plain consciousness stirred. I remember being told that if the Douluo Continent were merged into your world, I could break free from this land and take human form. If that is truly possible, I would be willing to integrate with your world. The plain consciousness spoke candidly. If it could not transform, it risked being devoured again if circumstances repeated themselves. It did not want to suffer that fate twice. Lin Xiao nodded. Now that it possessed awareness, the possibility of transformation existed. What mattered was whether the world's level was sufficient. If integrated into his world, and as his world's strength continued to rise, the plain consciousness might eventually become human. How long that would take was uncertain, but Lin Xiao intended to help. He was not stingy with his own. Since it can be done, I'm willing. When can you integrate the continent? He asked. With your current strength, you have already surpassed the limits of the Douluo Continent. You can leave it entirely, the plain consciousness replied. When you do, I will mobilize the world's power to assist. Integration will be much easier, but it takes time and depends on when you begin. Lin Xiao's concern showed on his face. He had just destroyed Shrek. Sooner or later, Xiaoling and others would learn of the upheaval here. He did not want to be ambushed while attempting world integration. About how long will it take? He asked. At your present strength, at the fastest it would take 1 year. At the slowest, 3 years. The plain consciousness answered. This estimate is conservative. If your power grows, the time will shorten. Integrating an entire world was not like merging a secret realm. Douluo Continent was a full world, and such a process was naturally difficult. Lin Xiao understood and weighed the timeline. He hesitated at the thought of 3 years, then made his decision. I'll take care of current matters first and return later. Sorry to ask you to wait. No problem, the plain consciousness said. I know you still have enemies. There is no rush for now. Lin Xiao nodded. Then he asked, by the way, where is the weakest barrier between the Douluo Continent and the Divine Realm? Chapter 206. Notice. The author is taking a day off to deal with personal relationship issues. Sorry, everyone. Notice. Chapter 207 is still delayed. I'm sorry, everyone. This humble author can't seem to break through this slump. I'm truly sorry. There will be no update today either. My apologies, dear readers. Chapter 230. Tang San seals the God Realm. The plain consciousness knew better than anyone where the barrier between the Divine Realm and the Douluo Continent was weakest. As the plain consciousness that oversaw the continent, it could tell when someone was about to ascend, but it had no power to stop such ascensions. After all, it was not a god. Its domain was absolute only over the Douluo Continent. When someone ascended, the plain consciousness would not stand in the way. Ascension was part of the continent's development. It had simply never expected a brat like Xiaoling to come of all people. Had it known what would follow, it would have done everything to prevent that scrap from ascending. Back then, the plain consciousness had not fully formed. Xiaoling discovered it and began the long-standing struggle with Tang Hao. Only after meeting Yao Lao and the others, who had given it a kind of release, did the plain consciousness mature into what it was now. So when Lin Xiao asked about the weak point in the barrier, it was obvious what he had in mind, an assault on the Divine Realm. The plain consciousness scanned the Douluo Continent and pointed to a relatively vulnerable spot over the ocean. There's a weak point in the sky above the old location of Sea God Island, it said. With your current strength, you could break through, but I cannot judge the present power of the Divine Realm. Lin Xiao, it would be better if you increased your strength a bit more. Entering rashly would be dangerous. It suggested that Gu Yuena help seal off any commotion when the time came, since she was a god king and could hold things steady. I'm not sure she could maintain it indefinitely, the plain consciousness added. Lin Xiao nodded inwardly. Gu Yuena was precisely the kind of ally he needed. In theory, having her and his teachers do the heavy lifting might mean he wouldn't have to personally absorb the continent. But that idea was quickly dashed by practical concerns. Even if Yao Lao and Electrolux could maintain such a long-term effort, they would be left weakened, set back to square one after years of cultivation. In the end, Lin Xiao concluded the only reliable way was for him to handle the matter himself. Plain consciousness. Stay here, he told it. I'll go scout that weak point myself. He found Guyuena and brought her to the sea. She floated above the water in a white gown, its hem stirring the surface and sending up crystal-clear droplets. Lin Xiao, why here? She asked. The weakest point is in the sky above where Sea God Island used to be, he replied. I need to check it. Guyuena agreed with a quiet, okay. Sea God Island had been a holy site for 10,000 years, the place where the sea god had reached divinity. It made sense that the barrier was weakest there. That cluster of Lin Xiao's flames that had appeared beneath the island had hinted at it. The island itself was gone, but devil spirit great white sharks still prowled the waters, unaware that Xiao Bai had already died at Shrek. When they saw Lin Xiao and Guyuena, the sharks fled. Following the plain consciousness's direction, Lin Xiao reached out with his senses to feel the sky's pulse above the vanished island. He and Guyuena surged upward, pushing past their limits until they left the continent's atmosphere. They expected to run into the barrier between the Douluo Continent and the Divine Realm, but there was nothing. No visible boundary, no rip in space. Guyuena, where is the Divine Realm? I can't see it, Lin Xiao said, uneasy. Guyuena, a god king, suddenly looked as unsettled. I can't sense the Divine Realm either. It should have been impossible. Even if the Divine Realm could not be seen directly, its existence should have been obvious to two beings of their level. The Divine Realm had its own protective field and a passage to the continent. Divine power would guide someone seeking to ascend. The fact that neither of them could detect any trace meant only two things. The Divine Realm had either been obliterated, or it was being hidden by some enormous power. Let's return for now, Lin Xiao said. It's unlikely the Divine Realm has simply vanished. It should still be there. They went back, and as Lin Xiao suspected, the Divine Realm was not gone. It had been sealed. The seal was crafted by Xiao Ling, who now stood within the God Realm's central hub, his posture radiating self-righteous calm. Xiao Wu, don't blame me, he told an unseen companion. I'm doing this for Xiao Qi and for the safety of the Divine Realm. Only after saying that did he finally feel at ease. The Divine Realm was secure now, and so was he. He sat back and relaxed, comforted by the knowledge that he had acted, and by the safety that action afforded him. He was utterly relaxed, completely at ease, locking down the Divine Realm. Lin Xiao, oh Lin Xiao, you'll never find it now. If you can't find the Divine Realm, you can't enter it. Heh, if you don't become a god, how long can you really live? Xiao Ling smiled inwardly. Even if I can only hold this for a single day, I'll drag it out until your life is exhausted. One day, in the lower realm, a day could mean a long stretch of time, though Xiao Ling wasn't certain how long. He would stall, buy time until Lin Xiao and the others reached the ends of their lives. That was the plan. Who wouldn't want to become a god and win eternal life? Who wouldn't want to live well? But without becoming a god, there's no immortality. Eventually you die. If they were dead, there'd be no threat. When that time came, Xiao Ling would be safe to resume his 10,000-year grand plan. Good. Very good. For the sake of that plan, Xiao Ling had no concern for those people. Even Xiao Wu, what may once have been true love, had long since faded. What he wanted now was power. The power to be the sole supreme ruler. If his plan succeeded, the Divine Realm would be his backyard, and all those like destruction would be gone. He pictured his enemies disappearing and himself in absolute control. He wasn't worried about Lin Xiao finding the Divine Realm. Lin Xiao would only think him an idiot. Did he really expect that locking down the Divine Realm would stop him from opening it? Xiao Ling was naive. When he had acted against Lin Xiao before, he knew Lin Xiao wasn't a god, only capable of god-level attacks, so his logic was simple. As long as they aren't gods, they would die. It was a fact. Without becoming a god, unless you were a spirit beast, human lifespans were short, just a few hundred years, which in Divine Realm terms could be only a few days. Xiao Ling could afford to wait, and he was careful to cover his tracks. On the Douluo Continent, Lin Xiao had brought Guyuena back to the back mountain of the body sect and said plainly, "Plain consciousness, the barrier is gone." The plain consciousness paused, then swept its perception over the Douluo Continent. It's really gone. Could the Divine Realm have disappeared? It asked, uncertain. No, Lin Xiao replied, shaking his head. The divine realm is still there. Something is obscuring it. He had expected the divine realm might vanish eventually, but not now, not so suddenly. Whoever was obscuring it must be planning something. He just didn't know who in the divine realm could be doing this. Since that's the case, now is the perfect time to pull the Douluo Continent in, Guyuana suggested. Xiao Ling is in the divine realm. If he wants to move, he'll have to make the divine realm show itself. With me guarding you and the two seniors contributing their strength, Lin Xiao, you could absorb the Douluo Continent now, she added. Lin Xiao considered this, weighing who might be obscuring the divine realm and what might happen there. If they absorbed the continent now, could there be unexpected consequences? He didn't want anything to happen to his teacher or to Guyuana. You've only been out 2 days. That barrier probably only disappeared recently. I could still detect it before, the plane consciousness said. Time flows differently in the divine realm. You can fully take advantage of that. Lin Xiao finally nodded. Just as he was about to agree, Linger arrived. Xiao Xiaozi, people from the Earth Dragon Gate are here, she reported directly. Lin Xiao paused, then gave a cold laugh. Interesting, they actually dare come. Let's see what they want first. We'll deal with the Earth Dragon Gate before we handle the absorption, he decided. The three of them went to the main hall. Nenshuishui stood there, looking contrite as she faced Dubuzi. Sectmaster Du, do you still remember your original promise? She asked cautiously. Dubuzi chuckled. Of course I remember. And did I not fulfill it? You're still alive. My promise has taken effect, Nenshuishui said. Have you come this time to seek death? Dubuzi asked. Lin Xiao and the others, just entering the doorway, heard Dubuzi's words. Truly, the teacher was worthy of being the teacher. Indeed, Sectmaster Nan, the opportunity has been given. Have you come this time to die? Lin Xiao added flippantly. Our body sect has no fondness for Shrek, and even less for Shrek's lackeys, he went on. Letting you live this long was already more than you deserved. Nan Shuishui's face went pale. She had considered this confrontation before coming, but she hadn't expected this master and disciple to be so shameless. Before she could reply, Lin Xiao acted. A single palm strike severed her head. Dubuzi only smiled. He had wanted to kill Nan Shuishui for a long time. I wanted to kill her back then. If it weren't for that secret realm, I wouldn't have restrained myself. Xiao Xiaozi, you did well plundering their secret realm. It's a comfort to me, Dubuzi said, patting Lin Xiao on the shoulder. Lin Xiao chuckled. No need to be polite to Shrek's lackeys. Letting her live this long was already mercy. Dubuzi nodded. In that case, I will lead the men personally to wipe out the Earth Dragon Gate. Back then they followed Shrek closely, he continued. If she hadn't joined Shrek after we rejected her, I might have considered letting them go. But they… Dubuzi shook his head. He had truly given them a chance. They had not known how to cherish it. Now they had themselves to blame. Dubuzi personally led the purge. The Earth Dragon Gate was completely exterminated. The cleansing spread across the continent. The Xuanming sect, Shu Sanshi's sect, was wiped out, every soul gone. Hikaitu, who had escaped from Shrek, was captured by the body sect and handed to Jing Hongchen, who twisted his head off with his own hands. Events like this continued across the Douluo Continent. It was called turmoil, but the only ones in chaos were the vassals of Shrek. Chapter 232, World Advancement. The continent had been remade by the purge carried out by the body sect and the Heavenly Soul Empire. Lin Xiao still remembered the time he'd spent 5 gold coins to awaken his spirit. Without hesitation, he issued an order to the Emperor of the Heavenly Soul Empire. Until the world's cultivation methods were changed, spirit awakenings would be free. Lin Xiao was the strongest force in the world. The Emperor had no way to refuse. Besides, he didn't want to. Unifying the continent, who would refuse such a small request? They were all his subjects. So the Emperor agreed readily. Now the Douluo Continent was at peace. There was only one empire across the land, the Heaven Do Empire. The former Heavenly Soul Empire had been renamed. The body sect had become the sole sect on the continent, transformed into a super sect that integrated spirit tools, spirits, and combat techniques into a single system. Several academies were attached to it, developing every field. Long Aoshin succeeded as body sect master, the youngest titled Douluo to hold the position. Shrek was destroyed, The Sun Moon Empire had surrendered, Starluo was wiped out, Douling was annihilated, and the Holy Spirit cult was gone. All the enemies of the Douluo Continent were dead. Lin Xiao stood on the peak behind the body sect with Linger, the Snow Empress, Xiao Xiao, Zhang Lexuan, and Gu Yuena at his side. Zhang Lexuan stepped forward. Lin Xiao, she said quietly, I let Tang Ya and Jiang Nanan go. Lin Xiao didn't even look at her. If you let them go, you let them go. I have nothing to say. They're like two stray dogs with no value left, Zhang Lexuan added, bowing her head. Zhang Lexuan hesitated, then continued. Jiang Nanan has gone into seclusion. I crippled Tang Ya. She's with Jiang Nanan now. Tang Ya doesn't have long, she said softly. I couldn't bring myself to kill her. Xiao Xiao hurried over as well. Lin Xiao, don't blame Sister Le Xuan. It was my fault. I couldn't harden my heart. Lin Xiao reached out and gently ruffled Xiao Xiao's hair. I won't blame you, he said. You're all my people. How could I blame you? He spoke casually. In his mind, it no longer mattered. With the continent liberated, standing on the ridge behind the body sect, a soft breeze brushed their faces. It's been 2 months without danger, he said. Perhaps it's time to take the next step. He turned his gaze downward toward the plane consciousness of the continent. The plane consciousness felt the shift and answered, Lin Xiao, let's begin. He looked at the women beside him. We'll do this together. I need you. They nodded. Gu Yuena rose into the air with Lin Xiao, and they left the mountain. Beyond planet Douluo, the two of them hovered side by side. Lin Xiao's voice was solemn. Gu Yuena, our lives and everyone's safety depend on you. Gu Yuena's expression was steady. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. A thunderous sound filled the void as Lin Xiao tore open a vast black portal in the universe. He guided the sucking force of the undead world and began to draw the Douluo continent in. The continent's plane consciousness cooperated, suppressing the land's resistance. Gu Yuena stood guard at Lin Xiao's side, their figures isolated against the dark. Within the undead world, Yao Lao and Electrolux were working as well. In the hazy gray between realms, the two lone points of light, Lin Xiao and Gu Yuena, flickered like distant stars. In the divine realm, Xiaoling continued his routines, oblivious to what was happening. Time slipped away. Under Lin Xiao's effort, the Douluo continent slowly sank into the undead world. With a final burst of black light, the Douluo continent vanished from this universe. Xiaoling, in the divine realm, knew nothing. By the time he realized what had happened, it would be too late. Inside the undead world, a planet shimmered in a corner of the world. When Lin Xiao and Gu Yuena arrived, the place had already transformed. Vitality was thick and strong. The planet in that corner seemed to draw life from the undead world even as it fed vitality back into it. Master, how is the world now? Lin Xiao asked quickly, feeling a rush of vitality wash over him. He could sense the changes, but not yet pinpoint them. Yao Lao stroked his beard while Electrolux laughed. Xiao Xiaozi, over the last 2 years, the undead world has expanded more than 3-fold, Electrolux said. The Douluo continent has entered, but it hasn't been fully refined or fused into the undead world yet. Instead, the Douluo world and the undead world have formed a complementary connection, Yao Lao explained. The undead world is primary, Douluo is secondary, like a divine realm and its lower plane. There's no longer any need to fuse them outright. Lin Xiao considered this, then asked the questions that mattered most to him. If that's the case, can we change the cultivation system of the Douluo continent? Can I mobilize the world power of the undead world? Electrolux's grin widened. We can manipulate the subsidiary planet fully now that Douluo is ours, he said. World power? Heh, there's already enough world power here for what you want to do. Yao Lao's brow tightened. He didn't yet know what Lin Xiao and Electrolux were planning. Gu Yuena, however, understood. Her thoughts flicked to Han Shanshan, and she said nothing, only listened intently. Lin Xiao smiled. Then let's begin. Before Yao Lao could answer, Lin Xiao added, Master, for this I need to use the bone-chilling flame. Yao Lao's expression darkened. The bone-chilling flame had been his for a long time. Surely, if something were odd about it, he would have noticed. He thought perhaps Lin Xiao's request was about something else. The problem wasn't with the flame. He was wrong. The issue lay precisely with the bone-chilling flame. Lin Xiao still wouldn't say it. Not yet. He refused to tell Yao Lao the truth until after he'd separated Han Shanshan's remnant soul. It had been his surprise for Yao Lao, something he'd planned with Electrolux. Yao Lao hesitated a moment before passing the bone-chilling flame to Lin Xiao. Xiao Xiaozi, you know the power of this flame. I don't know what you intend to do with it, but be careful, he warned, concern plain in his voice. Lin Xiao smiled. Don't worry, master. I know what I'm doing. Yao Lao didn't press further. He trusted Lin Xiao wouldn't act without preparation. If that's settled, you all should go take care of matters on the Douluo Continent, he said. I think the cultivation system there can be changed now. Change will bring hardship, Guyuena added. If everything becomes too easy, people lose drive. Heavenly tribulations should remain, both for spirit beasts and for humans. Everyone should face trials. Changing the cultivation system won't happen overnight. You supreme experts should discuss it among yourselves. I believe in you. Lin Xiao's priority was extracting his master's wife's soul. This was exactly the sort of work for the continent's top experts. The Silver Dragon King could represent the spirit beasts, and Yao Lao, the humans. With leaders of their stature guiding the change, the task wouldn't be impossible. Guyuena and Yao Lao exchanged a nod. Only through hardship can there be growth. We must prepare for danger in times of peace. All right, Xiao Xiaozi, go on then. I'll take Guyuena to the body sect to discuss this. You and Electrolux, take care. With that, Yao Lao and Guyuena entered the Douluo Continent. Lin Xiao held the bone-chilling flame, a satisfied smile on his face. Electrolux glanced at it skeptically. Is your sister-in-law really inside? I can't sense any soul fluctuations. Lin Xiao nodded. She is very weak, almost imperceptible. Back then, for Master's sake, she essentially sacrificed herself. He was genuinely envious. It was just that Master didn't know. That's why I thought to use the world's power for this. We can't do it with our own strength. Hopefully it won't fail. What if it doesn't work? Will we have to devour the divine realm after all? Electrolux worried. It should work, Lin Xiao replied. Brother Chen's bone-chilling flame is strong, but the undead world isn't weak now either. The bone-chilling flame is on someone else's turf now. Can it really upend the world? I want to see. Electrolux's confidence returned. He wanted to see his sister-in-law too, and hoped that would stop Brother Chen from trying to pry secrets out of him. All right, Master, let's give my teacher a surprise. Together they went to the heart of the undead world, the ice and fire yin-yang well where the golden ancient tree stood. After dispersing the others, Lin Xiao began drawing upon the power of the world with Electrolux's help. Divine Realm, God Realm's central hub. The Destruction God King's gaze was icy as he stared at Xiaoling. Xiaoling, why have you sealed off the Divine Realm? His words were blunt. The other God Kings present looked at Xiaoling in surprise. Even Li Yan and Ji Dong were taken aback. Their relationship with Xiaoling had always been decent, but none of them had expected him to actually seal the Divine Realm. Xiaoling's face was grim. Today, he was supposed to hand his duties over to Destruction, yet as soon as Destruction arrived, he'd noticed the anomaly. Destruction, an old guard God King, had long since sensed something wrong and had intended to inspect during the handover. Now, he discovered Xiaoling's actions immediately. Destruction, it's not that I wanted to shut the Divine Realm off, Xiaoling said, voice tight. While on duty, I discovered something was wrong. Someone's going to attack the Divine Realm, so I had no choice but to seal it. Destruction's skepticism was visible. Given Xiaoling's past behavior, this explanation rang false. He hadn't seen the original Shrek 7 Devils in ages, and even Xiao Wu hadn't visited life for some time. Step aside. It's my turn to be on duty now, Destruction said. I'll find out whether you're telling the truth. He wasn't easily convinced. He'd stopped trusting Xiaoling long ago. Xiaoling remained where he sat, watching Destruction quietly. Destruction frowned. Did Xiaoling really intend to resist him? He also grew wary. Xiaoling wasn't weak, and he possessed the super divine tool, the Asura God Sword. Humph, Xiaoling, it looks like you want to pick a fight with me, Destruction said. I'll be waiting outside. Xiaoling didn't budge. As long as he stayed, the God Realm central hub remained his. Who would dare to move him? Who would dare to destroy the hub? He fixed them with a cold look. Listen to me once. 3 days. At most 3 days. Come find me in 3 days. By then, the crisis facing the divine realm might be over. Can you not wait 3 days? Jidong and Lian didn't care much either way. An extra 3 days with someone watching the hub was no burden. I have no objection, they said. Destruction and life exchanged looks. Life tugged at destruction. Xiao Zi, she started, shaking her head. Destruction snorted. Fine. 3 days then, Xiaoling. If nothing happens in 3 days, I won't be so polite with you. Xiao Lu, let's go. Destruction and life left the God Realm's central hub. Jidong and Lian took their leave as well. On the way out, the Life God King murmured, that situation was unfavorable for us. Lian and Jidong are close to Xiaoling, and he has a super divine tool. If a fight breaks out, it won't be to our advantage. 3 days, just 3 days. If nothing happens by then, it means Xiaoling is up to something. Then we'll have the moral high ground, and it won't be easy for Lian and Jidong to argue. The Destruction God King nodded without another word. Have you seen Xiao Wu, Dai Mubai, and the others? Destruction asked suddenly. No, I haven't seen them in a very long time, Life answered, surprised. Same here. Destruction's lips curled slightly as they headed off together, the wheels already turning on what to check next. Chapter 234, Destruction's Battle Against Tang San. Although the God King of Destruction disliked Xiaoling and the Shrek 7 devils, he had never interfered with his wife's social life. Xiao Wu was a woman and the wife of a God King. Naturally, she would have dealings with the God King of Life. But not having seen Xiao Wu for several days, the God King of Life found himself missing her. Xiao Wu, Xiao Qi. I haven't seen Xiao Qi in a long time either. Xiao Wu hasn't come by to visit us, the God King of Life said as he walked, nostalgia in his voice. Destruction snorted. Indeed, I haven't seen Xiao Qi in ages either. We watched that little girl grow. I wonder what she's doing now. Life agreed that it would be a good opportunity to go check on Xiao Wu and the others. Unthinking, the pair found themselves at the Sea God Temple. Life knocked politely on the door, but Destruction was not so concerned with etiquette. He simply sent out his divine sense and swept the temple. The little brat wasn't there. His restrictions were useless against Destruction. No need to knock. Xiao Wu isn't here. Xiao Qi isn't here either, Destruction said, pulling Life along. Let's go check on the rest of the Shrek 7 devils. Life looked puzzled for a moment, as if sensing that Destruction had suspected this for some time, but he did not press. He followed. They went from temple to temple. Ma Hongjun's Phoenix Temple, empty. Juju King and Dai Mubai's War God Temple, empty. Oscar and Ning Rongrong's temple, also empty. All of them were gone. Suspicion hardened in Destruction's eyes. Life, did you know they weren't here when you suggested we come? The God King of Life had indeed understood why Destruction wanted to look. He had suspected Xiaoling too, but he did not know what had happened since. Destruction said curtly, I suspect Xiaoling. I'm not sure what he's planning, but of the Shrek 7 devils, only Xiaoling is still in the divine realm. I worry they've gone to do something that could harm the divine realm. His blockade of the divine realm is likely a cover for the Shrek 6 devils. Come, let's go find Xiaoling. Once Destruction had decided, there was no stopping him. The God King of Life followed. They made their way to the God Realm central hub. Xiaoling had just allowed himself a moment of relief when the two God Kings entered. Xiaoling, get out of the God Realm central hub, Destruction roared. His divine power vibrated, a towering might pressing down inside the hub. Xiaoling startled, ready to move, but then he remembered the hub's protections. What was there to fear? Destruction wouldn't destroy the central hub and shoulder that guilt. He stayed put. Destruction's face darkened. Life, strike together with me, force him out. The God King of Life, convinced Xiaoling was up to something, showed no mercy and attacked at the same time. Under the combined assault of two God Kings, Xiaoling was finally compelled to step out. If you don't explain this today, there won't be a good end to it, Destruction warned, his eyes full of battle intent. He did not yet want to kill Xiaoling, only to restrain and question him. Killing such a powerful fighter would be a loss to the divine realm, but he was prepared to fight. Destruction sent a divine transmission to Life. I'll hold him. You lift the blockade on the divine realm. Life nodded once. Destruction drew his scepter of destruction, pointing it at Xiaoling. He was getting serious. Xiaoling snorted. Destruction, Do you think I fear you? He reached for his Asura god sword, but froze. Where was it? Where is my Asura god sword? He demanded, bewildered. Where is my sword? He echoed again, panic beginning to rise. He realized instantly who had taken it. Xiao Wu, you took the Asura god sword. It hit him like a blow. Without the Asura god sword, he could not contend with the god king of destruction on equal terms. Relying only on the sea god trident, he would be at a severe disadvantage. Destruction's scepter was a super divine tool, and without an equivalent, Xiao Ling would be on the defensive. Destruction smirked. Heh, looks like even your scabbard ran off with your Asura god sword. Understanding dawned on Xiao Ling. No wonder destruction had returned the moment he discovered Xiao Wu and the others were gone. With that realization, he moved to attack, taking out his sea god trident. Unfixed Storm. Both were god kings, but Destruction was an established god king and Xiao Ling a recent ascendant. Now, bereft of a super divine tool, Xiao Ling could easily be suppressed. Seeing the clash coming, the god king of life promptly lifted the blockade on the divine realm as agreed. News of a battle between two top-tier powerhouses spread instantly. Li Yan and Ji Dong arrived quickly, with Rong Nianbing and the others close behind. Destruction's scepter emitted a black light and launched a sphere of destructive energy. Xiao Ling raised his golden trident to block. The sphere, filled with the power of destruction, slammed into the trident. With a resonant crack, the golden trident snapped cleanly into two pieces. A super divine tool combined with God King cultivation had shattered Xiao Ling's instrument in an instant. Xiao Ling bristled with fury. If my divine tool weren't missing, Destruction, would you stand a chance against me? Destruction was contemptuous. Weakness is weakness. Spare me the excuses. Xiao Ling, Destruction demanded, cold as ice. Where have the Shrek 6 devils gone? Why did you blockade the divine realm? Xiao Ling's face darkened. He had betrayed his brothers and his wife for his reasons. There were no words to justify it. Still, he stood firm. I, Xiao Ling, have a clean conscience with respect to the divine realm. I stand by my actions. Destruction snorted. He leaned forward and peered through the God Realm central hub. Li Yan, Ji Dong, and the others crowded to look as well. They watched, and then someone spoke up. Impossible. One planet is missing. The God King of Life's voice was sharp. Xiao Ling, where did you move the Douluo Continent? Destruction's roar cut through the air as he turned on Xiao Ling. 237, Chapter 235, Han Shanshan appears. Xiao Ling was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing. Douluo Continent was gone? Ha, good. That was better than he could have hoped. He had never expected the continent to disappear, but if it had, all the better. He didn't care whether Douluo Continent existed or not. His parents were dead. What ties did he have left? His plans had been delayed enough as it was. If the continent was gone, no one could unearth what he'd done. He could return to being the pure, noble Xiao Ling. Still, he had to deal with Destruction and the others first. You ask me? How should I know? He snapped. My wife, my brothers, my sisters, they all went to work for the divine realm. With the extraterrestrial demon invasion, they went to investigate leads. I sealed off the divine realm because I was worried about that invasion. And now, after all my family's efforts for the divine realm, you suspect them, he sneered. Heh, this divine realm, if Xiao Ling doesn't stay here anymore, that's fine. With that, he stormed out of the meeting, slamming the door without even glancing back. Destruction scowled. Had he truly been mistaken? Li Yan and Ji Dong were equally puzzled. None of them understood exactly what had happened. They followed Xiao Ling, leaving Destruction and Life behind. Life called after them. Xiaozi, could it be that we were really wrong? Destruction shook his head. No, come, let's leave the divine realm and take a look for ourselves. Xiao Ling is not that simple. Don't be fooled by his righteous talk. He's good at acting. If he truly cared, would he be so calm about his wife and siblings disappearing? If he were worried, why would he have sealed the divine realm? Xiao Ling is hiding something. With that, Destruction took the goddess of life and departed the divine realm. He wanted to find out what had actually happened to Douluo Continent. A little reconnaissance near the divine realm in the universe wouldn't be a problem. Now that Douluo Continent was gone, Xiao Ling felt elated. Once the commotion died down and rumors faded, he could put his plans back in motion. There were many other worlds, like the lower world where Zhou Weiqing had been. More problems always mean more solutions. Zhou Weiqing was one of his people, after all. Even though Zhao was under destruction at the moment, he was still Xiaoling's man. Xiaoling already had plans forming in his head. The disappearance of Douluo Continent suited him perfectly. He didn't believe Lin Xiao could have taken the continent away. It had to be some sort of cosmic turbulence. He was even a little glad he'd sealed the divine realm, otherwise it might have been swept away too. I, Xiaoling, am the protector of the divine realm, he thought with a scornful huff. Without Lin Xiao around, I can restart my plans. Destruction, I'll repay you for today's humiliation 100-fold. He slammed his fist on the table, laughter and malice mingling in his mind. Meanwhile, in the undead world, next to the golden ancient tree, a cluster of pale forest-white flames burned violently. Lin Xiao controlled those flames like a master wielding his domain, forcing them to resist the rancor that sought to tear them apart. The bone-chilling flame fought back, but with the world's aid, Lin Xiao suppressed it from the inside out. His soul pressed in on the bone-chilling flame, and little by little he pierced its heart. "Found it!" Lin Xiao exclaimed. Within the bone-chilling flame's essence curled a small soul, barely clinging to existence. Had he been later, it would have been annihilated. Using the world's power, Lin Xiao ripped the soul free. The power of the undead world immediately contained the bone-chilling flame, preventing it from flaring out of control. "Teacher, quickly, take it into the golden ancient tree and nourish this soul," Lin Xiao urged. "Once I stabilize the bone-chilling flame, I'll come help you." The bone-chilling flame was still turbulent. Without the world's power, it would be difficult to handle. Lin Xiao felt the undead world's vitality sapped a little as he used its power, but he wasn't drawing much, just enough to keep the flame under control. Electrolux took the fragile soul fragment and entered the golden ancient tree, drawing on its life force to heal the soul. Lin Xiao shoved the bone-chilling flame back with a strong wave of power, then pushed the world's energy into the tree as well. His own soul followed, and the world's power cocooned the fragment that Electrolux held. With the world's nourishment and the golden ancient tree's majestic vitality, it shouldn't take long for it to recover, Lin Xiao said, watching the tiny soul with relief. Electrolux nodded. "Yes, your restorative pill also succeeded. Once sister-in-law recovers and takes that pill, she should be able to regain her human form." Relief washed over Lin Xiao. "Teacher, leave this to me. The next steps will be simple." Electrolux set up another magic circle to accelerate the recovery. He waved his hand and the circle flared into being. 2 months later, inside the golden ancient tree, a figure gradually took form. She blinked and looked around in confusion. "Who are you? Where is this?" she asked, searching her memory as it slowly returned. She remembered sacrificing herself to the bone-chilling flame, but little else. "My master is Yao Chen. I'm his disciple, Lin Xiao. Greetings, great master." Lin Xiao bowed respectfully. Han Shanshan, Yao Chen's master, trembled when she heard the name. You said you're Yao Chen's disciple?" Her voice shook. Is he all right?" Lin Xiao smiled gently. "Great master, I rescued you because of my master. He is doing mostly well, but in some ways he's not. He was betrayed by his eldest disciple and lost his physical body. He's currently only a soul form, but his condition is better than yours, great master. Please take this pill first. After that, I'll bring you to see him and explain everything." Hearing that her disciple had betrayed Yao Chen and that he had been reduced to a soul made Han Shanshan's own spirit shiver. Still, the prospect that he was alive at all eased her fear. She accepted the pill from Lin Xiao and swallowed it. It was a medicine refined from an immortal plant. Its effects were excellent. A white light enveloped her soul as majestic soul force began to nourish it. 3 days later, Han Shanshan had recovered enough to move more freely. Her soul form resembled an ordinary spirit, and her soul power had notably improved. "Lin Xiao, thank you," she said, looking at him with gratitude. Yao Chen had good taste in disciples. Though Yao Chen had been betrayed by his eldest disciple, having a disciple like Lin Xiao felt like consolation. At that moment, a voice drifted into the golden ancient tree. "Xiao Xiaozi, how is sister-in-law doing?" Chapter 236, Yao Chen meets Han Shanshan. Sister-in-law? Han Shanshan's face flushed crimson, and she looked shy and bashful as Electrolux stepped in. He paused when he saw her hovering before Lin Xiao and greeted with a smile. Sister-in-law. Electrolux's gaze was gentle. Is this the one Brother Chen likes? Not bad, he thought. So timid, so young-looking. Teacher, she's not Brother Chen's wife yet, Lin Xiao hurried to explain. Electrolux laughed. Close enough. Sister-in-law, Xiao Xiaozi has already told me about your feelings for Brother Chen. Brother Chen doesn't know, only we do. I'll help you and Brother Chen. Helping you recover, sister-in-law, is also how Xiao Xiaozi repays him. Electrolux spoke at length. Lin Xiao had already told him everything, how Han Shanshan had sacrificed her life for Yao Chen, how she had clung to him as a teacher. Someone willing to give up their life for another was rare, like Xiao Ling and Xiao Wu. Xiao Ling might be worthless, he thought, but Xiao Wu's sacrifice had been sincere. Han Shanshan's love for Yao Chen was the very reason Lin Xiao had thrown himself into bringing her back. All of it was worth it. Yao Chen was worth it, and Han Shanshan was worth it. Lin Xiao did not mind the cost. Han Shanshan looked puzzled. How had they known? How could Lin Xiao possibly know so much about things even Yao Chen didn't know? She glanced at Lin Xiao with questioning eyes. Lin Xiao met her look and smiled. Grandmaster, there are things I haven't told you. By the way, this isn't the fighting Qi continent. I'm not from this world. I'm like you, Electrolux, and like Master Yao. We all come from other worlds. My world is special, so special that I can see many things. It was also my guidance that helped Teacher Yao retrieve your remnant soul. That's why we're here today. Lin Xiao's words left a stunned silence. Now it made sense. Electrolux clapped him on the shoulder. Xiao Xiaozi, no matter where you come from, I know only that you are my disciple. That's enough. I imagine Brother Chen feels the same. He probably knew your identity long ago. He did, Lin Xiao confirmed. I just wanted to keep the Grandmaster a surprise for him, like before. Electrolux laughed heartily, fully understanding. Beside them, Han Shanshan had pieced it together. So this was no longer the fighting Qi continent. This world had been remade. Lin Xiao, Grandmaster Electrolux, could you take me to see Yao Chen? Han Shanshan asked softly. She had already died once and had thought she'd never see Yao Chen again. Now she had been brought back, resurrected by Yao Chen's disciple, and she wanted to see him, to let him teach Lin Xiao properly and without holding back. Lin Xiao smiled. He hadn't expected his grandmaster to care so deeply. All right. He led Han Shanshan away from the golden ancient tree. Electrolux watched them go, smiling. He looked forward to seeing Yao Chen's reaction. Outside the tree, the world was healing itself. The golden ancient tree had restored the ice and fire yin-yang well to its former glory. Immortal plants that had been planted here were regaining vitality. Those higher cultivators who had been stripped of consciousness were starting fresh. The place felt like a tended garden reborn. Is this Yao Chen's garden? Han Shanshan asked, eyes wide. Just here. Not just here, Lin Xiao answered as they walked. This entire world is ours now. He told her everything he could recall since first meeting Yao Chen. Han Shanshan sighed, touched. You've suffered, Lin Xiao. You're a good child. And you, Electrolux, she added later. Yao Chen is lucky to have a brother like you. Electrolux waved it off with a smile. Sister-in-law, I was incomplete before. Meeting Brother Chen and Xiao Xiaozi is my honor. Without them, whether I would even exist is another matter. When the three of them left the golden ancient tree, they entered the Douluo Continent. In the back mountains behind the body sect, Lin Xiao and Electrolux appeared. Lin Xiao found Old Man Yao sunning himself and called softly, Teacher, I've brought a surprise. Old Man Yao lay in his chair, eyes closed. Heh, come, let me see. Let me see whose soul has made me so curious. Lin Xiao suppressed a grin at the teacher's indifference and tapped his storage ring. A figure emerged, stepping into the patch of sunlight and blocking it. Yao Chen! A single whisper fell like a key in Old Man Yao's heart, and the sunlight disappearing made him open his eyes. He sat up slowly, face going pale. His whole body trembled as memory flooded back. Swallowing hard, he rose to his feet, eyes locked on the figure before him. Master! Lin Xiao and Electrolux stepped back, giving them space. Before he left, Lin Xiao placed the memories he had beside Old Man Yao. Teacher, absorb these later and you'll understand everything, he said, then left them alone. Old man Yao could hardly believe what he saw. Was it real? He watched as Han Shanshan spread her hands as if to welcome Yao Chen. Yao Chen's steps trembled as he walked forward and gently embraced her. It was real, insistently true. After one brief embrace, Yao Chen let go to confirm the truth, tears brimming at the corners of his eyes as if time had stopped. Han Shanshan's own eyes shone with tears. Seeing Yao Chen again left her momentarily speechless. Even looking at each other like this was enough. Everything was real. Thankfully, it was all real. Yao Chen and Han Shanshan talked from dawn until dusk. "That brat really surprised me," Yao Chen said, laughing. He stroked his beard, a smile he couldn't suppress spreading across his face, genuinely satisfied. Han Shanshan only nodded. From his words, she already understood what had happened and that Lin Xiao had orchestrated it all without Yao Chen knowing. "Oh, and this." Yao Chen looked at the item Lin Xiao had left behind, picked it up, and absorbed it immediately. It was something he could have left alone, but the moment he took it in, he lost his composure. So that's how it was. His teacher had sacrificed himself to help him obtain the bone-chilling flame. At last, the full story and his teacher's intentions clicked into place. Seeing his teacher's sacrifice and thinking of how happy his teacher must be, Yao Chen was ecstatic and secretly proud. Overcome, his hands trembled, and he stared blankly at Han Shanshan, then suddenly threw his arms around her. "Teacher, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting so long," he blurted. Han Shanshan felt her heart stir. "You brat," she thought. "This is all you're doing, but you did well." Meanwhile, Lin Xiao and Electrolux arrived at the body sect's main hall. The place was far quieter than it had been before. "Teacher, where did Du and the others go?" "I don't see Linger or the others either," Lin Xiao asked, puzzled. "Logically, nothing major should be happening right now." "They're all studying new cultivation methods," Electrolux replied. After Brother Chen and Guyuena discussed the specifics of the reforms, Brother Chen distributed every cultivation method he knew. Now the whole continent has erupted into a cultivation craze. People who never had innate soul power are trying to cultivate. Right now the continent is extremely peaceful. Lin Xiao's mouth twitched. Had it really come to that? The peace felt fragile. After this wave passed, there would be conflicts again, but those would no longer be his problem. "Teacher, what exactly changed?" Lin Xiao asked. He'd been occupied with Han Shanshan's matters and hadn't kept up with the Douluo Continent's affairs. Electrolux chuckled. "It's simple. With the help of the plane consciousness, the Soul Beast clan no longer produces spirit rings or spirit bones, and humans no longer need to awaken spirits. The entire cultivation system has shifted to cultivating battle chi. Soul power makes progression a bit slower, but each advancement increases lifespans somewhat. Spirit beasts naturally have stronger talents and physiques, so Brother Chen proposed adjusting the heavenly tribulation for both humans and spirit beasts. Spirit beasts will face stronger tribulations, but only when advancing to Battle Emperor and Battle Sect. Humans are similar. After reaching Battle Sect and passing the tribulation, they can ascend to the undead world. Both sides can adapt to these changes. The difficulty is much lower than before, giving hope to those with good talent. There's no longer a need to occupy a god position to become a god. I imagine it won't be long before many geniuses bloom." Electrolux spoke with genuine anticipation. With the system changed, more peerless talents might emerge. Though opportunities had narrowed in some ways, with time, many heaven and earth treasures would still surface. And what about those who've already awakened spirits and spirit tools? "Also simple," Electrolux said. "A spirit is just a manifestation of a person's innate attribute origin, like your body martial soul being of the dark attribute. It can be reverted to its original attribute origin for deeper comprehension. Tool spirits and the like can be kept. If you ascend later, they can become your fated weapon. Spirit tools won't be discarded. They're just another path for those who aren't strong enough otherwise. Everything else follows the same principle." Lin Xiao relaxed. His teacher had handled things well. Having a good teacher meant he hardly needed to worry. He thought of Xiao Ling's boast, "I cultivated a god," and snorted internally. Ridiculous. "My teacher's approach fits my wishes," he said. "Next, I need to consider the divine realm. With my current strength, I'm not afraid of meeting a god king, so long as they can't hit me. Electrolux considered. You now have 6 types of flames and considerable power. If Xiaoling is our only enemy in the divine realm, there's no need to rush. We should bide our time and wait for Linger, the Snow Empress, Dubusi, and the others to advance further. Lin Xiao thought of the relationships in the divine realm. Destruction and life were benign, but Flame and Jidong had ties to Xiaoling. After a moment he said, I'll go out and see if the divine realm has appeared. If it has, I may be able to expose Xiaoling's crimes. At present, Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai's souls were still in the undead world. Dai Mubai was being treated well by the evil emperor, but Xiao Wu was hung up and whipped daily, questioned. Why didn't you help the spirit beasts? Even if you didn't, why help Xiaoling plot against the Soul Beast clan? The Soul Beast clan wasn't angry that Xiao Wu married Xiaoling or that she became a god without aiding them. They were furious that she aided the tyrant and committed evil. Helping the tyrant was the unforgivable line. Had Ah Yin not been refined by the Blue-Silver Emperor, Gu Yuena might have done the same to her. Lin Xiao entered the Douluo universe and immediately felt a strong pull, as if something were drawing him. The divine realm? He muttered. 2 figures materialized beside him. Lin Xiao tensed. Who are you? He watched them warily. Their strength was not weak. They were none other than the God King of Destruction and the God King of Life. The 2 had been exploring for days, and seeing Lin Xiao appear, approached cautiously. They exchanged a look. The newcomer did not seem hostile. Destruction. Life. They greeted him with guarded courtesy. Lin Xiao's eyes widened. You're the God King of Destruction and the God King of Life, 2 of the 5 great God Kings. They nodded. You know us? Of course, Lin Xiao replied. The divine realm was sealed before, so I never had the chance to meet you. Meeting you here feels fated. He felt no hostility from them, and though he remained wary, he was willing to talk. If they had been villains, he would have struck immediately. The God King of Destruction looked puzzled. You know of us? I do. By the way, I have something to show you. Lin Xiao condensed his memories and handed them over. The 2 God Kings examined them carefully. After assuring themselves there was no danger, Destruction accessed and played the memory in the void. Every incident relating to Xiaoling appeared clearly, including the parts about Xiao Wu and the others. Destruction's expression changed drastically. Good, good, good. So you're the extraterrestrial demon Xiaoling mentioned. Xiaoling, what a beast, twisting right and wrong. Chapter 238. I'm gathering my strength to deal with Tang San. The Destruction God King's outburst had caught Lin Xiao's attention. He hadn't expected Destruction to react so strongly. Lin Xiao studied the 2 God Kings assessingly. God Kings, what is this extraterrestrial demon you speak of? Could it be that Xiaoling has done something? A thought flashed through Lin Xiao's mind. Had Xiaoling been the one to seal off the divine realm, using the excuse that an extraterrestrial demon, namely Lin Xiao, had appeared and threatened the realm? What a perfectly crafted lie. If one looked closely, Lin Xiao could technically be called an extraterrestrial demon. He hadn't originated in this world. The accusation wasn't completely baseless. Destruction said coldly, Xiaoling blockaded the divine realm, claiming an extraterrestrial demon had appeared and posed a great threat. He even sent the Shrek 6 devils. Another thing, kid. How can we trust the memories you just showed us? The Destruction God King added. He wasn't a fool. He wouldn't accept a few visions at face value. Lin Xiao nodded and reached into the undead world, retrieving 2 battered, nearly dissipated souls, Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai. Their souls were torn and fragile, barely holding together on the slightest breeze. Lin Xiao pointed at them. If you need proof, question them yourselves. I imagine Dai Mubai will be very willing to talk. If you prefer, you can extract their memories directly, he added. The Life God King, moved by mercy, lifted a hand to heal Xiao Wu and Dai Mubai. Lin Xiao curled his lip inward. Heal them if you must. The longer they live, the longer they suffer. When Destruction's presence registered, Dai Mubai's face lit with hope. His savior had arrived. Destruction questioned Dai Mubai thoroughly, and Dai answered every query honestly. Xiao Wu, half in a daze, offered no useful testimony. Dai Mubai's words, combined with the earlier evidence, sealed it. Destruction's expression darkened as he glanced at Dai Mubai. You reap what you sow, his eyes said. Without ceremony, Lin Xiao withdrew the two souls. The life god king's lips trembled, but she watched helplessly as he pulled Xiao Wu and Daimu Bai away. Daimu Bai screamed, "God King Destruction, save me, save me! I know secrets, I know a lot. Before he could finish, Lin Xiao had completely withdrawn him. Lin Xiao smiled brightly at Destruction. Destruction waved a hand, amusement and curiosity mingling in his voice. "Honestly, I'm very curious about your secrets. But now is not the time," Lin Xiao said lightly. "If the Destruction God King can withstand one strike from me, what harm is there in telling you?" Destruction chuckled, studying Lin Xiao with fresh interest. "Not bad," he thought. "Kid, come with me to the Divine Realm," Destruction said. "This time, I want Xiaoling dead. Descending to the mortal world without permission, risking the Divine Realm's safety, abusing power, does he think he can act with impunity? If not for Xiaoling's own strength, Destruction would have acted long ago. The Divine Realm under Xiaoling's control was heading for ruin. Only development, a return to right order, would save it. Lin Xiao waved a hand. "God King Destruction, forgive my boldness, but if I go to the Divine Realm, I want to be its master. I want the Divine Realm as my vassal." "Vassal?" Destruction's gaze sharpened. "Kid, did you bring the Douluo Continent with you?" Lin Xiao smiled and kept silent. Destruction began to take the young man seriously. Something in Lin Xiao's demeanor and power unsettled and intrigued him both. "We'll discuss terms later," he said. Lin Xiao then taunted, calmly listing what mattered most to Destruction. "Doesn't the Destruction God King wish to see what lies beyond the God King realm? Doesn't he wish to see the Divine Realm ascend once more? Don't the Destruction and Life God Kings desire an heir?" Those three questions, great ambitions all, struck at Destruction's core. He inhaled deeply, eyes steady. "Make your move," he said. A smile spread across Lin Xiao's face as 6 streams of flame began to coil around him. The Life God King stepped aside silently, watching. A single titanic explosion erupted across the void as a terrifying fire lotus slowly blossomed. Its shockwaves rippled through the cosmos. 3 figures materialized before the barrier of the Divine Realm. Destruction's voice rang out, earnest. "If what you say is true, I, Destruction, would not be opposed to following you." He had been utterly overwhelmed by Lin Xiao's display. Had Lin Xiao not restrained himself at the last moment, even Destruction might have perished within that fire lotus. Lin Xiao laughed, exuberant. "Not following me, following my brother. Our brother, with whom we'll create a world together." Destruction didn't argue. A smile creased his face. "By the way," Lin Xiao added, "Destruction, your subordinate Zhou Weiqing is in Xiaoling's pocket. He needs dealing with." Destruction frowned. "Are you certain?" "Of course. I don't bother with lies over such things. That is also why you are always beneath Xiaoling. Some people are not loyal." Destruction's fury flared. He had never expected a traitor among his own. Destruction tore open the Divine Realm's barrier and led Lin Xiao inside. It was Lin Xiao's first time there. It was indeed far more prosperous than his own world. Lin Xiao remembered Gu Yuena mentioning Elder Yao being stronger than the Dragon God. If the Dragon God could create a world, could Elder Yao? He pushed the thought aside. The Elder lacked a body, and the circumstances made such a thing unlikely. Destruction led Lin Xiao to his residence and summoned Zhou Weiqing at once. Without ceremony, he crippled him and demanded, "When did you start collaborating with Xiaoling?" The question deflated the enraged Zhou Weiqing. He had been found out. There was no point in continuing to resist. "When I became a god," Zhou said with forced calm. Lin Xiao cut in. "He obtained his godhood through an evil god pearl. That evil god pearl belonged to a dark demonic evil god tiger. Xiaoling had hunted on the Douluo Continent, but which escaped. By chance it fled to Zhou's world, and he obtained it," Lin Xiao continued. "That's why he sided with Xiaoling." Zhou Weiqing looked up in disbelief. How did Lin Xiao know so much? Destruction listened, the truth of Lin Xiao's words sinking in. He sighed. "Enough. Be gone. If you can recover, consider yourself fortunate." After all the years Zhao had followed Destruction, the God King did not want to deliver a killing blow. But in the Divine Realm, Zhou had enemies who would not hesitate to act now that they knew his betrayal. Letting him go was almost a death sentence in another form. Zhou left, bitter and unwilling. Lin Xiao shook his head slightly. "If it were me, I'd have made sure he wished for death instead." Destruction smiled wryly. You think Xiaoling will save him? Lin Xiao did not answer. Zhou Weiqing's fate no longer concerned him. Let's go. We'll find Xiaoling. I'll take Jidong and Lian. You handle Xiaoling, Destruction said. Lin Xiao had no objection. As long as Xiaoling was finished, it was enough. Flames flickered once more around Lin Xiao. He was gathering power. What are you doing? Destruction asked. Charging up. To finish Xiaoling in a single strike, Lin Xiao replied, amusement in his tone. Destruction fell silent, offering a private, uneasy prayer as they prepared to move.